We had some important news for Rivian stock investors as the company announced another round of layoffs ahead of the launch of the lower-priced R2 SUV. I'm going to share with you the details of this announcement, what it could mean for Rivian stock investors, and whether or not I think this stock is buy, hold, or sell at current market prices.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
So Rivian's founder and CEO is taking on a new role at the company as part of the restructuring. He will be taking on the chief marketing role and looking for a new chief marketing officer while he's in that role temporarily. This includes as part of the restructuring where they will be laying off more than 600 employees, and the company's done several rounds of layoffs as demand for electric vehicles is nowhere near where companies like Rivian were estimating several years ago. Of course, in 2020, 2021, I was highly warning investors to avoid companies like Rivian because the forecasts I felt were way too rosy and the predictions were way too optimistic. Electric vehicle demand has been tepid to say the least, even with the incentives to purchase electric vehicles. And now with those incentives being removed, demand for electric vehicles is going to be scary low in the upcoming quarters. So the Rivian CEO making layoffs mid this kind of market environment, I think is a prudent move. And overall, Rivian's management team, I felt, has dealt with these changing circumstances really well. They've been a part of this demand situation where it's not, when they were forecasting demand in 2020, it's about a fraction of what demand was back then, what they were thinking it would be. So now they're in this situation and they're adapting to it well, making layoffs, making moves to secure their future, even at a lower scale than they were initially expecting. So Rivian's market price is over $13 a share, and I still feel this stock is overvalued. The intrinsic value I calculated for Rivian is just over $3.50. Current market price is $13. So it's still overvalued even after all of these declines, even after all of these years of difficult performance, the share price remains overvalued. The R2 is coming out. The company is hoping to price this model at about $45,000. The SUV is one of the type of vehicles that's most highly demanded, more so than sedans, and so that's going for Rivian. Furthermore, Tesla has eroded its brand loyalty, and that's opened up an opportunity for a company like Rivian to step in and take some market share away from Tesla. And surely, if they can launch that model, the R2 SUV, at anywhere near that $45,000 price point, I think it's going to be a huge hit. I think it's going to allow the company to scale up and use up more of its capacity, which is critically important for Rivian. They're forecasting deliveries of somewhere around 45,000 units in 2025. To put that into context, they have the capability to produce over 210,000 units, but they're only going to produce and sell around 45,000 units. So they're only operating at a fraction of their capacity, but they still have to pay for all that capacity. They still have to maintain it. They still have to keep it in good shape because they're hoping that when they launch that $45,000 model, that they can scale up and utilize more of that manufacturing facility. What's more, remember, they have another manufacturing facility that's been put on pause that can add more than 1 million units of production. Remember, I talked about in the introduction of the video, they thought this company was going to be much bigger by this point in time in terms of total sales and total number of units sold. Unfortunately, demand from consumers has been, as I mentioned, only a fraction of what many of these EV companies were forecasting. And so they have to deal with those misforecasts as they try and adjust. But if they can get this $45,000 model to sell at least, 150,000 units, that way, in combination with its more expensive models, if they can sell closer to 200 or 210,000 units to fully utilize their existing manufacturing capacity, I think that would be great news for Rivian stock investors. So hopefully by the end of next year, they'll be at a pace where they're producing and selling closer to 200,000 units. I think that's the huge near-term goal for Rivian stock investors. That'll put the company on a more sustainable footing, so they're not losing so many billions of dollars on the bottom line. That's the near-term goal. Just get themselves to that point, and then they can look for the next target, right? But in order to get to that next target, they need to get beyond this point where they're losing 2, 3, 4 billion dollars on the bottom line in cash flow every year, right? They can't continue like this. So hopefully that R2 comes out. I'm really rooting for the company. I think the management team has done a good job considering the situation they found themselves in after making those big investments with high hopes for electric vehicles, which unfortunately consumers do not like the inconvenience of having so much time to charge compared to internal combustion engine vehicles. And then, of course, they're paying higher prices and having more inconvenience. So, not a good combination. I'm not surprised. I've been forecasting this from 5 years ago, so I'm not surprised about this industry underperformance. But Rivian is one of the companies I'm rooting for in this industry to succeed. Hey everyone, I'm excited to announce that my book is finally available for sale. I've been working on it for more than a year now, so I'm really excited to finally share this with you now. It goes through my framework for evaluating stocks. Some of you often ask why I like this stock or why I like the other stock, and this framework provides you the things that I look at when I'm evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.